Loves. As most of you know, I am a devotee of both Lilith and Hekate, and I did have a couple of you ask me to talk more about Hekate. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about signs Hekate is going to be reaching out to you, ways you can work with Hekate, and just a little more information about her and some resources. I'm also going to share with you a little bit about my own kind of encounter with Hekate and how I work with her. I only have 10 minutes, so I'm going to do my best to get through everything, and if I need to make more videos, let me know, because I'm happy to do that. But first, let me say, before I get into the signs that she might be reaching out to you, let me just say that there are a couple of misconceptions that I do hear from people about Hekate, because some people are aware that Hekate is considered the goddess of witches, and so I will have newer witches who are starting their practice tell me they feel obligated to work with Hekate. And I just want to say, you're not obligated to work with Hekate. You're not obligated to work with any deity. Just because she's the goddess of witches doesn't mean you need to work directly with her, right? You may not be interested in deity work at all, and you can still be a witch. That's totally fine. The other piece of that, though, is that you don't have to be a witch to work with Hekate. You might be interested in deity work or just feel a connection with Hekate as an entity of whatever kind. Even if you don't consider her a deity, you still may have that connection. So I don't want anybody to feel like, A, they have to work with her just because they identify as a witch, or that you have to identify as a witch to work with her. It's not true. All right, so let's get into some signs that she might be reaching out to you, because that's what a lot of people seem interested in is, how do I know she wants to work with me? And one of the first signs is repeated encounters with some of her symbols. So her symbols are dogs, keys, torches, or crossroads. Those are her main symbols. There's other ones, but those are the main ones. And those are a lot of times how she reaches out to people, because she knows those are familiar symbols to a lot of people that she might be reaching out to. And that's the thing about spirits or deities or entities, is they're reaching out to you in a way that you can relate to. So they're trying to use words or symbols or signals that will match some sort of frame of reference in your head. And if there is no common frame of reference, they'll go to what's kind of culturally available, if that makes sense, and hope that you'll look it up or that you'll come across a video like this. So if you're seeing a lot of dogs, especially black dogs, keys, torches, or if you're like seeing pictures of crossroads or like they're popping into your head a lot, those are signs Hekate could be reaching out to you. Other signs are unexplained flickering lights, candle flames behaving oddly. Now, the flickering lights and candle flames, those could be signs of any entity. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be Hekate. The symbols we talked about a second ago, those ones are specific to her. But if you're getting flickering lights or flickering candles, there is probably an entity that is around you or reaching out to you and sending you a signal in a very visible way, right? One of the things you can do if you're not sure who it is you can ask for confirmation. So if you're seeing signs and you're not sure it's Hekate, like if it's the lights thing, you can say, hey, if this is Hekate, can you send me, within the next 2 days, can you send me specifically like some keys or something? And then she will. As confirmation. And if not, you might ask for a few other signs of confirmation, because sometimes you miss things and sometimes it could be another entity. So that's one of the ways that you can confirm. All right. Now, another way is dreams. So if you're having strong dreams or visions of a dark robed woman, a triple goddess, that is definitely her sign. Triple goddess is almost always Hekate, or a guide at the crossroads, because Hekate is a guide. And we'll talk why a little bit in detail about why crossroads keep coming up, because that's actually really specific, but why crossroads might be coming up. But if you're dreaming about any of those things, most likely it's Hekate. If you're drawn to liminal spaces like thresholds, crossroads, or graveyards, like if you just feel inexplicably drawn to them, she is the goddess of the places in between, the transitional places, the liminal places. So you being drawn to that could be a sign that she's calling out to you. If you have a sudden interest in witchcraft, spirit work, or shadow work, that could be Hekate calling you in that direction. If you're being called in that direction, does that mean you have to be a devotee of Hekate? No, of course not. Like, first of all, she may not be asking for you to work with her specifically. She just may be nudging you on a certain path. It doesn't mean that you need to have, a specific relationship with her. But she could be nudging you towards a path. Now, I'm going to share my own experience with this because I have always been psychic. I've always had a gift. I've always been gifted. But I didn't start my formal practice until a couple years ago. And after I had started that, I had a very specific dream. And in that dream, I wanted to, I'm not going to share too much of it because it's kind of personal, but there was something where there was like an event or an activity and I was not allowed into it. And this tiny, shriveled, ancient woman appeared and basically said, "You're not ready yet. Like, you haven't earned your place here," is kind of what she said to me. And when I woke up, I realized it was Hekate. And I realized she was telling me that I hadn't studied, I hadn't trained, that I needed to enter kind of a more formal practice in order to have a seat at the table effectively, you know? And so it was my sign that I needed to follow her and follow a path. And I didn't become what I would call a devotee of hers specifically until much later than that. Like, I knew she was calling me, and I knew very specifically that she was calling me to like formalize my craft and formalize my practice and study more. I had to earn my place. I had to become an initiate and go through a significant process that I'm still going through, by the way. This is not done, but this put me on a specific path, basically. I knew it was Hekate, and that's part of my gift. That's part of my gift of being a psychic. I've always called it the gift of knowing, and that's, I think a lot of people call it clairsentience or something, but I've always had this gift of knowing. I just know, and I knew that was Hekate, and I knew what I was supposed to do. Now, it may not be as obvious to someone, so that's why I wanted to make sure to say, if you aren't sure that it's Hekate, or if you're not sure what her call is for, just ask. Ask for confirmation. You may not get that sudden knowing like I did, but if you ask for a sign of confirmation, that sign will come to you. So she's pretty good about answering, clearly. And that is kind of the last sign that she's reaching out to you, is intuitive nudges to embrace your personal power or face the unknown. Because Hekate is going to push you. She's going to push and challenge you. She is going to make you confront your innermost fears. Shadow work is incredibly important when working with Hekate or any of the, like, you know, chthonic goddesses. So why is Hekate such a big deal, right? Like, she's such a big deal because she predates the Greek gods. She was one of the Titans. And when the war between the Greek gods and the Titans happened, you know, she agreed to kind of work with Zeus. And when the other Titans were overthrown and put into, I think, the pit of Tartarus, Zeus agreed to not do that with Hekate because she was so powerful. And she's so powerful because she can go anywhere. So when we say she's the goddess of the places in between, the transition points, she is the goddess that can guide people into the underworld, can guide people into other dimensions and other realms. And so that's why crossroads are a big deal, because our earthly, you know, intersections, basically, those are a symbol of a more secret and occult in, you know, transition between spaces, transition between dimensions, transition between realms, effectively. So if there's a realm you're trying to get to, she's the key to that. And that is why the key is one of her symbols too. So keys symbolize entrance into these special places. They also symbolize knowledge. Hekate is going to push you to learn. She's going to challenge you to learn about yourself, about her, about, you know, practice, about beliefs. So personally, I always wear this key. This is from a specific company that makes a lot of jewelry that I like. And this is the key to the underworld. And for me, this is Hekate's key. And then I've made a video about her oil before that I buy on the TikTok shop. This is a personal oil. This is an oil I will use on myself or in candles or in certain things. But after I had that dream, I was prompted to make a specific ritual oil for Hekate. And I have never showed anybody this before, but I made this oil and I use it sparingly, and it's specifically for rituals. This is not for, it does smell good, but it's not for me to smell good. It's very precious. Let me just put it that way. And then I also have this book, which I'll link because you can get it in the TikTok shop. But this has so much information about Hekate, about her history, about practicing. I did not get into the ways to work with her, so I'll probably make a follow-up video. But if you like to study on your own, get this book. I know a lot of people in,